Previously at Warcradle Studio and Wayland Games, we learned all about how the in-house team makes MDF kits. From conception to final product, we got to watch a kit being made. Quality checked, packaged, and finally brought back to the studio to be built and finished. This time, however, we're going to look at how Warcradle makes their plastic model kits for the Dystopian Wars series, but also how, the industry as a whole makes plastic miniatures. The life of a plastic miniature begins as a piece of concept art, generally like so, or at the very least a text brief given to the designers. Using this as a reference, the sculptor can make a start on designing the model for production, but it's not just a case of sculpting the final thing. Considerations have to be taken into account of how the piece will actually be manufactured. We asked Brandon for some insider tips on what his work involves.
So can you get really tight into the design details and things on there?
Yeah, so on this, the way it works is it uses voxels, which is kind of like information in 3D space, sort of like, I like to describe it like Minecraft.
Yeah.
Minecraft uses voxels. This is the same exact concept, except for it just draws a mesh over that 3D information. So you're able to actually make selections in 3D space to be able to, like, let's say, cut something out from something. So if I were to make a selection and rotate it, you could actually see it going in 3D space here. So I actually can select it in 3D like this, and then, I don't know, you cut out and it cuts a chunk out of it exactly in 3D.
So when you design something like this, do you have to do all of the elements separately and then combine them all together? Or do you kind of take it as one large model and design it kind of?
So the way we work now is that we definitely work more to the final plastics, whatever the plastic is going to be.
Right.
Just because it's a lot easier in designing it that way. Before, since resin is a lot more flexible in how you can cast with it, we could always just design it and then deal with splits at the end. Again, now you have to do the splits at the kind of like as you're designing it.
Yeah.
So each element at the same time. So for this one, this was split after the fact, but it takes a lot longer to do it that way, and you don't get the best results.
Okay, guys, so we got a new Tony, new business. What we're doing is we're going to shake things up around here. I see you guys are making a lot of money. Well, it's time to make potentially the same or even less money with my crazy fun ideas, all right? Okay, wargamers, what are they about? Wargaming. And what else do people do? Huh? That's right, people eat. We're going to sell food, guys, on the website. Sam, I know you just finished redeveloping the website. Gonna have to trash all that, I'm afraid. So we're gonna have a frozen food section, guys. All right? So when people order their, what's the boat game called? Sam, what's the boat game called? Yeah, the Dickensian Wars. They can order a frozen pizza, peas, chicken wings, vegan stuff. They can eat, all right? Winning games, delivering food to their... All right, fuck you guys.
So we've taken a little look at how Warcradle's digital sculptors get started and develop a project, designing and building with a mold production process in mind. So let's move on and see how these molds themselves are developed. We're taking a long walk through Wayland's massive and health and safety approved warehouse, passing many things we'd love to take home with us, and heading to the CAD mold design area.
This is the moving side.
Yeah.
and you can see where you've got the runners.
Yeah.
Now these points here and here is just different model.
Okay.
You can see that. So that's the hot side,
Yeah.
and that's the actual part there.
Cool.
Our job is to generate these split surfaces,
And
lay it out, form it, put the runners in, and then literally it then comes to me and Joe.
okay.
Albeit that we cross over a little bit to Tom, and then we cross over to Ben as well. So between me and Joe, we're sort of one stage back and then stage forward as well.
Just out of curiosity, is there, because obviously one of these steel plates, to get that sculpted,
Yes.
takes a long ass time, right?
Yes.
So is there a proofing and test stage? Or do you have to make a steel plate and then test it and figure it out?
What we do is we have mold flow design,
Okay.
and we put that in the mold flow so we can see how the plastic actually travels through the mold.
Right, okay.
It doesn't tell us everything, but it does tell us a lot.
Okay.
After it's laid out, we want to make sure that the plastic fills uniformly, and we're not filling this side too quick.
Yeah.
And this side is getting left till last. We want to fill it completely in
Yes.
one go. It gives us an indication, but it doesn't tell you about pitfalls like where the parts might sink.
Okay, cool. So here we are in the probe droid torture chamber that is the mold sculpting room. Each one of these huge machines can take anywhere between 2 and 8 weeks to carve a mold. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like reverse 3D printing. You take a block of steel and with computer controlled and operated drill bits, carve into the steel block to create a negative of the 3D model that Brandon and his super best friends on the sculpting team were developing.
Alright guys, welcome to the old whale in the pitch session. How's everybody doing today, alright? Okay, good, alright. Okay, you guys didn't sell too well with the last one, so we're gonna do something real interesting now, guys. Okay, we're gonna save some money. So I've been around this plane, I seen what's going on, and I seen you got people working with their hands. 2023, guys. So I'm gonna introduce a line called Cast Your Own Boats. Okay? So you sell the resin, you sell the mold, and that's it, guys. What do you think?
We'll probably have to fire a lot of people, Tony.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You gotta save money to save money. You know? Yeah? You can make them people work in the marketing team to sell this horrendous idea. And then we make zero profits. Alright, guys. Let's make it happen. Cast your own boats, guys. Fuck you guys.
Once the molds are carved, checked and ready for action, they're moved over to the casting room. This is super best friend Ben, who operates the plastic injection machine. Ben says this monster can spit out between anywhere from 1,200 to 2,500 sprues a day. And like most monsters, it takes a big old feed bag to keep it running. Like nearly all plastic injection casting machines, this thing runs on thermoplastic that comes in a range of different colors, but this stuff is going to come out as the familiar grey plastic we all know and love and have sometimes come to dread. It's still fairly rare for companies to have this kind of setup in-house. Since the initial investment costs are so high, that's why a lot of independents are still using resin or metal for their miniatures, or outsource to other companies who are able to make that jump into plastic production. Once a trough fills up with around 250 sprues, Ben then checks each sprue for defects, if there are any, and usually, there are none. Since the prep stages leading up to this are so meticulous. He then loads everything up, assuming the gubbins have met the worky bits just right, and readies them for inventory and packing. At this stage we are almost done, but before we take home, assemble and paint our hot and fresh and funky plastic miniatures, I thought I'd pick up a few tips from Warcradle's in-house studio painter, Daz.
So let's just find the brush that I was using.
What are you working on at the minute?
At the moment, I'm working on a set for demo purposes for Stygianium Skies. So just kind of cracking through, getting them done as quick as possible, because I believe they're being sent off to someone to run demos at show,
cool
stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing I'm working on at the moment. Normally, basically whatever we release sits on my desk until it's done.
Yeah. Out of personal curiosity, really, because I did some Black Sea stuff a while ago, and then got to the phase where it asked me to put a load of string and rigging on it, and it went in the bin. What are the challenges of painting at a different scale like this? And you are free to say there are none.
I use pretty much the same process for everything. I'll come in with an airbrush to begin with, either on the majority color or as a zenithal, depending on where that's going to go. What I found with painting Dystopian Wars stuff is you really do need to drill down and get as small with your detail as the model is itself. So when I'm sort of used to painting bigger things. So when I first started painting the Dystopian War stuff, just used the same standard techniques. And they just looked a bit bland. Okay. And I remember watching, I think it was like the making of Godzilla or something like that on television. Yeah. And they were saying that the key to making something look big is to really drill down on the details. So when you look at Godzilla's head, you can see every individual scale and look and so on. So I just kind of copied that process across. So even something as small as the little frigates, I'll concentrate on battle damage and stains and weathering, all that kind of thing, just to give it some atmosphere and a little bit more sort of visual interest. Yeah, I think without sounding too arty, goes a long way. And then with these ones, because the details are so defined on the plastics, you can get your airbrushing in, stick a wash over the top, maybe 1 or 2 highlights, job done.
Come on down to the Wayland Games warehouse and emporium, Mr. down here in the sunny little town of Hockley. What's up, guys? Tony D here, back in perpetual forward motion, and I'm here to talk to you about today's sponsor, Wayland Games warehouse, website, and emporium. Look at all this forward motion space I got. So what's new at Wayland Games this week? Almost too much. It's Star Wars Shatterpoint time, guys, and the hot new release is the Dalai Lama Super Squad. Which one's Natalie Portman and which one's Keira Knightley? Trick question, neither. These are plastic models. Not that you can tell, because they're that damn good. And a fancy new range of daylight painting lamps, guys. D-Dog's always talking about painting under proper lights. Always preaching the daylight sermon, and he's right. A quality, even casting diffused light is going to elevate any paint station to the next level. New Malifaux on the horizon, guys. New Malifaux. And that horizon is looking dark, gloomy, and spooky. Alright. And finally, we got a whole host of the new Warhammers coming. Kill Team boxes, ladies and gentlemen. Kill Team boxes. Mine and D-Dog's preferred GW game. Just keeps expanding and getting better all the time. Along with this, our Emporium staff are always on hand and ready to help with any query you might have. So check the link in the description down below to see what Wayland Games has for you. Alright, bye now. You know, that stuff costs less at Wayland. Wayland. You'll never leave without a smile. A Wayland.
With our big old box of business ready, we head up to see Super Best Friend Taylor in the MDF unpacking area to get our stuff boxed up and ready to go back to the workshop. The cleaning state of that. Actually, that's all right. That's not bad.
That is all right. You got yourself a sealed product.
That's not too bad, mate. But look at it from the top. It's absolutely to professionals. It kind of shits itself when it's here, but that's because I don't know what I'm doing. Back at the workshop, I've got a few boxes of Dystopian Wars to build. Mostly plastics, but there are 2 resin models that I actually got to cast myself. But that's coming in a future video. Build goes well, and using Tamiya Super Thin for the first time, and that is definitely a clouds parting and seeing the light moment. Damn, this stuff is good. Assembly goes well with the online instructions, some models made of 2 parts, other models made of a dozen, but all fairly painless. Studio painter Daz's words stayed in my mind, not the part about drilling down on details or the part about creating visual interest. No. The part about the models being so nicely detailed, you can throw a majority color base coat on there, hit them with a wash, and slam them with a highlight. A base coat of Vallejo liquid steel to do the heavy lifting, an all-over wash of classic Nuln oil, some pops of colour on the ship's hulls to distinguish the factions. Some wood planking on the decks, and a dirty wash over the top of them planks. And a final dry brush over the metallics and some edges to add a cheeky pop. All in a day. And yes, mate, these do the job all day long. I probably shouldn't have gone in with the super macro on my cheap and cheerful paint job. But on the tabletop, these are so fun to look at. I'm going to revisit Dystopian Wars in the future and look at more of the minis and how the game works, as these models have definitely piqued my interest. Thank you to Wayland, and more specifically Warcradle Studios, for allowing us into their factory and showing us how everything works and is made. Check out the previous video about how they make MDF kits if you'd kindly, and also hit that subscribe button to get notified when our final video in this series goes out, where we cast our own resin miniatures. Big and huge and plutonic love to my Patreon community, who have done so many wonderful things to help this channel grow and expand. You guys are all Hector's Super Squad. Cheers. I'm out of here.